Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandhi, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar room with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com. Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandhi, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar room with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com.
Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
Every summer in Chicago, the sunshine spotlights the city's spectacular skyline. Its luxurious lakeshore, marvelous monuments, and the over 200 neighborhoods in the city. And it also brings to light two of the greatest sports franchises in the world. On the north side, it's the Cubs. On the south side, it's the White Sox. This is Crosstown Crosstalk.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 13 of Crosstown Crosstalk. My name is Vinny Parise.
And I'm Joey.
No last name?
Joey Parise. What's up?
I knew I'd throw you off by dropping it in there. And welcome to episode 13 of Crosstown Crosstalk. Joseph, how are you today?
I'm good. I don't like that pause. I was like, did I miss something? And yeah, I guess, do I always say my last name though?
No, you always copy what I say. Like if I say my last name, you've said it. And if I don't, you've not. So when you didn't copy me, I was like, I'm going to make fun of him for this.
From now on, I'm always doing the opposite. If you say I'm Vinny and this is my brother, I'm like, I'm Joey Parise. So
that's not pleasing to the audience, though. That's not audibly sound, whatever word.
Audibly.
I make up words, but you know what I mean when I made up that word.
Yeah, I don't even know what the real word for that would be.
Last night, I went outside. I don't remember the reason. I think I just went to put my car away or something. And it was when I was on my way home from the gym, and I left. And it wasn't like humid, but it wasn't certainly cold or anything like that, but it had like a crisp in the air. It was like 65. And I was like, football's coming. Playoffs, baseball are coming. Like we're getting close to like the best part of the entire calendar. Are you a fall guy?
Yeah, I don't know if it's in my older years because, growing up, I loved the winter. I was a huge, give me the minus 10 degree weather. I was all for it, like a little psychopath. And now, as I get older, I'm starting to enjoy the nice weather. Okay. With that being said, I went out yesterday morning to go fishing, and it was like 81 degrees only. I got out there, I made 3 casts, and I was like, fuck this. I was so uncomfortably humid and sticky. I went and I just left. So I don't know. I might be tired of summer now, and I want my winter. So I would say I'm a big mix of both, or all 4 seasons have it, because I'm ready for fall.
Yeah, I personally like seasons too. And my favorite seasons, you've heard me say this 1,000 times, my favorite seasons go in order, starting in the fall. So I love the fall. Winter's good. Spring is good. Summer, the best days of summer are the best days of the year. 4th of July, the White Sox whooping ass, All-Star game. The best days of summer are my favorite days of summer. But the Monday through Friday grind and that nasty, disgusting heat, by far the worst.
Yeah, I guess it all depends on what you're doing. If it was 81 yesterday and sunny, which it wasn't sunny, it was just humid and muggy, I'm all for if you're sitting by the pool on a sunny day. I'm a big sunbather. I like to sunbathe.
You look Mediterranean.
Yeah. Then I'm all for those hot ass days. But I mean, yesterday, I enjoyed it more when I was out and it was 72 in the morning. So I don't know. And so that probably felt great at like 65 degrees when you were coming home from the gym. I'm sure that was nice, crisp. That was a good word to describe it.
Yeah, exactly. So football, playoff baseball, hockey, it's all coming. I want to say 71 days until hockey's back. But we got some business to take care of in the summer first, though.
Yeah, and about the weather, I want to ask you. You've been to a couple White Sox games recently. How was the weather at those games?
Perfect.
'Cause I must say, I'm itching.
I would say,
The 2 games without me, and that gets me itching. So.
yeah, I went Tuesday, and that was probably my favorite White Sox weather day. I wore jeans to Guaranteed Rate Field for the first time since early April. I went opening weekend, and there was a day where I like had no choice but to wear jeans and a sweatshirt. That was like, before the weather truly turned. But I wore jeans for the first time this last Tuesday since that day, and it was nice. You throw on an undershirt, similar like a tee, and then you throw my Michael Kopech jersey over it, and then the jeans, and you're perfect.
Yeah.
So, you're not too cold, you're not too hot. It was perfect. I'm really starting to enjoy the weather at the ballpark right now. We probably still got some hot days left. August is the hottest month of the year. But, once we roll into September and start building those bonfires at night after the game, it's going to be so fun.
Yeah. There's our friends at the Southburb Hitmen saying hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Can't wait for Monday's show. That rhymed. And speaking of the Southburbs Hitmen, the best team, I can't believe I'm saying this and it's coming out of my mouth and it's not me being a troll. It's an actual fact. The best men's professional sports team in the city of Chicago is your Chicago White Sox. They lost a tough one yesterday. They kind of looked like complete dog shit yesterday against the Royals. Lucas Giolito's changeup was getting smashed all over the place. But, I mean, other than that one game, they're solid, man. They're a good team. Big trade deadline that we're going to get into, and we're going to preview the Crosstown Classic as a whole. But I wanted to get things started with your opinion on perfect timing.
Yeah.
On their jerseys that they announced for the Field of Dreams games next Thursday against the New York Yankees.
Yeah, I'm in love. I'll be honest. These might be some of my favorite. I'm gonna get the hat, the jersey. I'm not gonna go to the game even, but I'm hoping that they wear them after the game at Guaranteed Rate Field. Maybe that's a possibility. I'm all for it. Make them the new Sunday jerseys. I am absolutely in love with them. That's been my favorite logo since the first time I've seen Field of Dreams back when I was a little kid. So I'm in love with them. Lance Lynn looks like he's straight out of that era wearing them.
It looks like he came out of the corn.
Yeah. So I'm all for them. I'm very excited to see what they look like on the field.
Absolutely. Do you like that they brought the hat with no logo, just the stripes, like Shoeless Joe Jackson and the 8 that were banned from baseball in the movie? Like, I love it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Look, there's my guy. We'll get into him, but like, talk about being in love with the jerseys. I'm in love with this guy. Like, let's just get that out of the way. I love Craig Kimbrell. I always have, and that looks so good.
It really does.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is the bill of the jersey, or not the jersey, is the bill of the hat, is it shorter than your normal baseball hat?
That's a wonderful question. I'm looking at Eloy Jimenez and Aaron Judge here on the screen, and it actually looks like that's the case for both.
Yeah, I think it is. And
what do you think of New York's uniforms?
I don't know. They're old looking. I hate that logo. I hate how condensed the Y is with the N.
I like it only because Ray Kinsella's father was wearing it in the movie when they have the catch at the end. I think it is perfect all around. The Yankees and the White Sox and Major League Baseball in general did a fantastic job.
Yeah. Southburb Hitmen are saying these are low profile 5950, which that's right up my alley, because the only reason I don't buy the normal 5950 is because I'm not crazy about the way they make my head look. I have a couple of them up there that I just don't wear too often, but these low profile ones are right up my alley, and I'm super stoked for it.
So you're gonna be looking for a jersey and a hat?
Jersey and a hat. I think New Era did a phenomenal job with the hats, and
I know. I think I might want to hit Guaranteed Rate Field one more time before the game next Thursday. I'm going to Wrigley on Saturday, but I'd like to go because I'm probably going to go to both home Yankee games, and I would like to have the old school hat to wear to both games.
Or you can buy. Do you think they'll sell it there?
They might sell it there. They're online, but there's very limited amounts left. I know stuff was selling out quick.
Have you seen a Navy hat?
Yes, there's a Navy hat with that logo on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's obviously not what they're wearing, but
you can buy
I mean, it's pretty cool, and it's something that you'll always be able to like wear over the years because of the fact that you can remember it forever.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I love the logo. That's my favorite logo.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite logos in all of sports, just because there's no like all this Boston stuff. I get it. I got a Dodgers jersey right there, but the White Sox are my Chicago team, and I've always loved that logo. So
Yeah, so I definitely think I'm going to be perusing Major League Baseball, MLB.com later tonight and thinking about getting some White Sox gear to rock at Guaranteed Rate Field when they play the Yankees next weekend. I'm super stoked for it.
yeah, they don't have a home game before that Field of Dream game. So
Yeah, well, tonight.
yeah, you ain't going tonight. No
Yeah,
balls.
you don't know that.
No balls.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's call Vinny out. He won't go to the game tonight.
There are some things to discuss about the current Chicago White Sox. I believe on our last show, Cesar Hernandez had already been traded to the Chicago White Sox. But now we've had some time to see him play in the White Sox uniform, and I got to tell you, it has been a great addition. He's been a solid hitter. He's getting on base. Awesome glove defensively. I'm very excited to have him as the infield is set now. You got Moncada at third, Anderson at second, Hernandez at second. Did I say second for Anderson? I meant short.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
Second for Hernandez, first for Abreu. And, he's been sweet. I'm hoping that, I believe that's Joe running that account. I want him to win pick to click if I can't myself, because Cesar Hernandez has been great.
Yeah, that's a good point. You say their infield is set, and I don't think that's the only thing that's set now after this trade deadline. I'm just gonna go ahead and get this out of the way. I don't think there's much of a flaw with this team anymore.
Well, I'm assuming that's because they traded from the Chicago Cubs Ryan Tepera.
And Craig Kimbrell.
I was cracking a joke. I knew where you were going with it.
Yeah.
But let's get into
No. I was gonna mention
Tepera. Tepera is very good. He had 2 bumps in his first 2 starts with the White Sox, and those were his first 2 bumps in the MLB in like 2 months. So clearly there's some nerves or I don't know what, pressure. Tepera is just fine. He proved it 2 nights ago when he came in and actually shut them down in the 9th inning. I was there. They were playing the Royals, obviously. Craig Kimbrell was warming up in the bullpen, and then Tim Anderson had a base hit after 3 straight walks, and it scored 2 runs and ended up putting them up 7. I think they scored 4 in the inning as a whole. Had they not scored those 4 and it was still 3-1, they probably would have used Dirty Craig and then Liam Hendricks. But
yeah, it was the bottom of the 8th. They put up 5.
They put some insurance runs on the board, and they ended up going with Garrett Crochet and Tepera to close things out instead, and they still shut the door. So I'm with you. Tepera makes the bullpen a lot better. I'll let you get into Craig Kimbrell, man. From the White Sox point of view, we'll get into what the White Sox sent away to the Cubs when we talk about the Cubs. I just want your focus to be on Craig Kimbrell playing for the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, so you were at the game on July 31st against Cleveland, where the White Sox did fall short 11-12, but I was watching that game. I was at a bar. I texted you because they weren't showing it on the TV and I didn't have sound. They weren't showing the bullpen. I texted you, is Craig Kimbrell warming up? And when you texted me, yes, I kid you not. I look at my phone, I see yes. I look up and I see Craig Kimbrell on the TV warming up. And seeing him in that black White Sox jersey, I don't care that they really lost the game. I really don't, because he looked fucking awesome. And then he was lights out. The next game, he comes in and he's just as good. I am so high on Craig Kimbrell, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm shitting on Liam Hendricks, but Craig Kimbrell to me is the guy to go to in that situation, and I don't think he'll disappoint. I think they have quite possibly one of the best bullpens in the league now, on top of having one of the best rotations and best batting lineups. It's going to be such a hard team to beat in the playoffs, I'm telling you.
So, I want to get your analysis on the bullpen as a whole without with Craig Kimbrell involved and Tepera, obviously. They've been using Reynaldo Lopez. He's fully back in the mix. He's a reliever now. Matt Foster's on the roster for now. I'm not sure he will stay there once they call up Luis Robert tomorrow. But you figure the early inning guys are Reynaldo Lopez, drawing a blank, Jose Ruiz. There's Garrett Crochet, Tepera, obviously. And then there's the late guys, Aaron Bummer, Michael Kopech, Craig Kimbrell, and Liam Hendricks. Sorry, there's so many names in the bullpen that you're trying to like make sure you get them all. It's a loaded bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously guys I'd rather go to, over certain guys. But those guys to go to and that will be ready come playoff time, like I don't really see too many flaws. And Santiago is a little worried because since the break they're under 500. We kind of pointed out on our last show their road production, and that's really the only thing that they need to get better with is they need to be a better team on the road. And I don't think necessarily that it's anyone's fault. They just got to be a better team as a whole because they have such a good, if you look at the three things of a baseball team, you got their hitting lineup, four things. I guess you got their fielding, which is good, their bats in the lineup, their bullpen, and their starting rotation. All four of those things are fucking great. So you can't really fault anything.
And the one thing I will say to Santiago about being worried, I understand the sentiment about the All-Star break and all that, but it's the fact that they're 5-5 in their last 10. My theory in baseball is that you look at the last 10 to evaluate how they're playing right now. 5-5 in their last 10. You don't want them to be 500, but I mean, they had that crazy lineup last week where like nobody was playing, and Grandal and Robert are yet to come back. Eloy's yet to get hot. The bullpen's still meshing together. They're still trying to figure everything out. Cesar Hernandez has been a brilliant ad, as I mentioned. I'm not too worried. I think there's plenty of time for Eloy to get his at-bats in and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not worried one bit. I think there's some big times ahead. I like their chances tonight against the Royals, and then they're playing that stinky cup team this weekend. I'm not sitting here acting like it's a lock. Guys like Patrick Wisdom and Rafael Ortega are hot lately, and Wilson Contreras is still there. They're facing Kyle Hendricks tomorrow. So, but we'll get into the crosstown series later. But my point I'm saying is I don't see how there's like could be too much worry just based on all the variables that have contributed to this.
Yeah. To address Chubbs' comment that the flaw is me wearing a Cardinals hat, we are an all MLB podcast. We talk about the Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs, and bring you all the MLB. You see my beautiful Mookie Betts Dodgers jersey here, who Mookie Betts is on a tear coming off the IL. Just going to go ahead and
Where'd you get that?
That I found it in I think I got it at Goodwill. I'm just kidding. My wonderful brother, Vinny Parise, he got that for me. As a birthday. Yeah. Shout out to that guy. But yeah, back to the White Sox. When the guys start clicking, as the Southburb Hitman just said, it's not going to stay that way forever. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Anderson's getting hot. I saw something. A lot of people like to crap on Yohan Moncada. Yohan Moncada is their best position player. All the stats say it. You have too high of expectations for Yohan Moncada if you think he's having a bad season. That's just a fact. Listen to this stat I heard. There's a stat in baseball called batting average on runs in play, or batting average on balls in play, better known as BABIP.
Never even.
And we heard this from James Fagan of The Athletic when we interviewed him. Number 1 in all of baseball since 2019, Tim Anderson. Number 2 in all of baseball since 2019, Yohan Moncada. Number 3 in all of baseball since 2019, Trey Turner. I mean, Moncada and Anderson are amazing. Abreu, he's slumping and he's having a down year with his batting average, and he still has 80 something RBIs. So not too worried about their bats long term. They're slumping right now as a total offense, but we saw what they can do when they're hot. They put up 11 against Cleveland, who has pretty good pitching, and they put up 7 the other night. Yesterday was kind of a dud, but let me tell you something about Carlos Hernandez, I believe his name is, of the Kansas City Royals. He is a superstar pitcher in the making. He shoved last night. And that's the thing with some White Sox fans. they never give opposition pitching credit if they dominate. Yeah, the bats need to wake up, and there's a large sample size of the bats needing to wake up. But yesterday they just got beat, and they got beat bad, and it's going to happen from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I definitely don't think Giolito had his best, outing. Obviously, Santiago said Giolito worries him, but I mean, the inconsistency has kind of been there all year, and you kind of want to see that get better. He has been better of late. This is kind of his first bad outing in a while, would you say?
He is the 13th most valuable pitcher in the MLB, according to Fangraphs.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is like he started off kind of rough. I think he found it, and this is like his first bad outing in a while. So you kind of got to cut him some slack. And like you said, it was, you're not going to be perfect every game. You weren't able to put up runs against the opposition. So, and
the other team, or the expectations for Giolito are a little too high, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like, people expect him to go out there and give up 0 runs every single game. So the one game he gives up 5, they're out on. Like I said, according to Fangraphs, he's the 13th most valuable pitcher in baseball in the year 2021. That's not for a down year. If the White Sox, I guess you could call him their third best pitcher right now. If their third best pitcher is considered the 13th most valuable on Fangraphs, you got a really good starting rotation. And I'm here to focus on the positives, not the negatives.
Yeah, and the Southburg Hitman say his changeup has been brutally bad.
Sure has. So
it has, and that's his like best pitch. That's one of Giolito's go-to pitches. So if he can just fix that, which I do believe will happen because he has been good for the most part in the past couple months or so, then
yeah, you never hear people be worried about Dylan Cease, but Giolito has a whole 1 ERA better than Dylan Cease.
Yeah,
I mean, and Dylan Cease is amazing. I'm not pooping on Dylan Cease. He's awesome. The only White Sox starter I'm really worried about is Dallas Keuchel.
I was going to ask you about that because he's going tonight, and you said that they should be able to take care of him, and I agree. So,
yeah, you need him to pitch well tonight. He's been good early in the game, and then once he starts getting through the order the third time, that's when he starts to give up solo shot here, solo shot there, base hit here. So I'm looking for him to come along tonight. I want to talk to you about Eloy Jimenez. We argued all the time about his position. And it's a small sample size so far. He's 0 for 16 as a DH. He's 2 for 4 with a home run and 3 RBIs in the one game they let him play right field. And he single-handedly won the game in terms of the offense. Being a DH, people don't realize, is basically pinch hitting 4 separate times. And Eloy clearly is more involved in the game offensively when he's in left field.
Yeah, we talked about this last show, and you brought that up, and the sample size was even smaller than it is now. I'm not going to say I fully take back everything I said and that I agree with you yet, because I would like to see more of a sample size with him in left field. If he goes a series in left field and he continues batting 500, which is unrealistic, but let's say he has a decent series, then yeah, I might flip and agree with you. I'm known for flipping. It's kind of my thing, but yeah, I guess at 0 for 16, you got to see if it really makes a difference. Put him in left field because you kind of need his bat. It's getting to that point where we need Eloy to be Eloy. So,
yeah, you can only rely on Billy Hamilton and Brian Goodwin and Leury Garcia for so long. Eloy Jimenez is an elite hitter, and he looked like it in the one game that he played outfield, and he wasn't even bad playing outfield in the one game he played outfield.
No, he actually made a really good play.
He made 3 really good plays.
Yeah,
like there was the string on a ball catch. There was a throw out at third, 2 throwouts at home. He was awesome. I think they tested him a little bit. Kansas City, they ran on him knowing that he kind of stinks, and they probably wouldn't have done that had it been Engel or something, Vaughn. But I mean, he quieted some people in that game. I'd like to see what he can do. I want to see him more involved in the game. I also agree with him that you can injure yourself running to first easier than playing the outfield.
The average person can, unless you're brutally bad at the outfield.
Madrigal and Robert injured themselves running to first base on a ground out.
But who's more likely to injure themselves in the outfield?
Okay,
Luis Robert
that's
or
my thing. Is Eloy Jimenez enough of an asshole to try dangling from the wall again, or to run into the fence again, or to dive into the mesh again? Is he enough of an asshole to do that again?
I don't think I don't think it's necessarily like him being an asshole. Like, dang, I've watched that injury so many times, and I mean that just kind of shows the type of player he is. He's going to go all out to try to catch a ball, even if it's not really catchable. I just honestly think it was an unlucky circumstance the way he tore his pec, because that's a very, very weird muscle to tear in that situation. Um, so do I think that's going to happen again? No, I think if he were to do that same thing again, he probably wouldn't tear his pec. I honestly think that was just an unlucky fluke in the outfield. But it's no doubt that this alone isn't what's making me think he's not the great outfielder that he is. It's last year or 2 years ago when he would almost collide with Luis Robert. Like, that's the stuff that scares me.
Yeah, I understand the concern. I truly do. But you almost have to take that risk if it's going to make him the elite hitter that he can be.
Yeah, and if your sample size is correct, then yeah, I agree. Put him back in left, and if he starts hitting the ball, like, yeah, okay, you were right all along. He needs to be more engaged into the baseball game, and I see that point because you're going out there, your team is batting, and then you get 3 outs. Okay, you get your glove and you go out there, and you're still in the game, opposed to sitting on the bench for half an hour, 40 minutes. So,
like I said,
to reiterate, King Pookie Nation, yeah, we absolutely talked about it early in the show. The Field of Dreams jerseys, we showed pictures of our friend Eloy wearing them. We love those jerseys so much.
Eloy's going to be playing in a National League ballpark this weekend, so he's probably going to be playing some left field. I would assume.
What do you think is the plan for the big stage on the Field of Dreams?
That's a good question. I would like to think that Andrew Vaughn gets in that game as well. So maybe you put him in right. I know he had one error playing right field because the ball spins entirely differently when you're. But Andrew Vaughn, to me, is a baseball player. He can figure out how to play multiple positions better than most people. So I'd be cool with him playing some right field, even if it takes a minute or two for him to like really get it down. And I think of Moneyball when they go to interview, or when what's his name who plays Billy Bean. Brad Pitt goes and he goes to the kid who he hurt his arm or something. He can't really throw much anymore, so he's not really playing any other position besides maybe first base. And it's the kid played by Chris Pratt. I forget his actual baseball player name in real life. And he's like, oh, anybody can learn to play first base. It's not that hard. And then he looks over to his advisor and goes, tell him. And he goes, it's incredibly hard. Every position in baseball is incredibly hard. And that's what I'm getting at here with Andrew Vaughn. And I think he could do it. At the Field of Dreams game, one of them's going to DH and one of them's going to play left field. That was my thought, because I would also assume Adam Engel gets into that game as well.
Yeah, I mean, it also depends on how the game's going. Like, if they're shit on the Yankees, let's say they get up 7-0, like, you can kind of see some other players getting the opportunity to play in that game. Do you agree?
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that Scott Hattenberg, that's the name of the guy that Chris Pratt plays, Hattenberg, and the coach refused to play him. Yeah. And then they traded I can't think of the guy they traded.
I got to rewatch that movie. Last time I saw it, I'll be honest, I was a young lad.
Moneyball is amazing.
I didn't know half as much about the game of baseball that I do today. Isn't like Jason Giambi in that movie or something like that? Or?
Jason Giambi leaves the A's along with who else leaves Johnny Damon.
Yeah, don't they go to the Red Sox? Johnny
Damon does. Giambi goes to I want to say, I can't even remember what team Giambi goes to, but his brother Jeremy Giambi's still on the A's, and he like kind of has a problem with partying and stuff, but he's a good player. And you gotta watch Moneyball. Moneyball is insane. Ingrenhausen is the third guy. Ingrenhausen and Giambi and Damon are the 3 free agents that left the A's and left Billy Bean in like a pickle. So he hires the kid played by Jonah Hill. And so, yeah, I highly recommend Moneyball for all those people. It's a baseball movie kind of week with the Field of Dreams coming up. Watch Moneyball.
Yeah, I'm probably going to actually like take you up on that. We should watch it together.
Yeah.
And then obviously we should watch Field of Dreams before next Thursday.
Yes, I'm sure we will
I
be doing that.
guarantee that'll happen. But
really quick, Eloy, late in games, I don't think he's a Gold Glover by any means. Late in games, you take him out and you put him late in games, you take out Eloy and put in someone like Adam Engel or whoever, because Luis Robert's coming back, and that adds even more depth, I guess you could say, to the outfield. So Leary Garcia, defensive replacement, Billy Hamilton. So
yeah, and you just to reiterate about Luis Robert, you said Yohan Moncada is your best player.
Yes,
I think it's Luis Robert.
I'm talking this season.
Okay.
So far this season, like according to Fangraphs WAR and Baseball Reference WAR, Moncada is their best player.
Okay, that's fair. I think
Luis Robert's their most talented player.
I got a good feeling about him coming back from this injury.
Yeah. Home run, a power. He's really the only 5-tool player on the White Sox. Everybody else has a flaw at some part of their game. Like Andrew Vaughn, elite two-way hitter, right? Contact, power, can't really run well. Eloy, basically the only thing he's good at is power and contact. Abreu, slow, can't run. Anderson, no power. I mean, he had a home run the other night, but it's mainly power. And yeah, we definitely know this guy. And
I appreciate you.
So Robert can literally do it all. Hit, contact, power, run, field, throw. 5-tool player. Can't wait to see him back. But I don't know. The White Sox, they're heading to Wrigley after tonight's game to play the Cubs. And we'll preview the Crosstown Classic in a couple minutes here. But let's talk about the Cubs.
Well, let's talk about the Cubs. We usually preview like the upcoming series. It's kind of cool. Like we get to do it like all at once now.
Yeah, 100%.
Are you about to throw a Cubs hat on?
No.
You look like you're about to put a Cubs hat.
So I want to talk about the Cubs. They traded all their players.
There you go. Screenshot it while you can, everybody.
They traded all their players. They're basically a different version of themselves. All their top players are gone. I want to talk about one player that was interesting to see them trade. I didn't think they were actually going to trade this guy, but they got a really good return for him, and that's Javier Baez. They traded Javier Baez to the New York Mets, and it was a stunner because I thought he'd be the one guy they kept. I think I said it on the show. What do you think? He had a game-winning home run last night.
Yeah, I actually saw that at the gym. They were showing replays of it. And it's all I could do is kind of smile. Like I don't hate the Mets, and I've always kind of liked Javi. So I think it's awesome. And I'm not really surprised. You said you were surprised. We kind of previewed that everyone was going. Did we not?
Yeah, but I said Baez would stay.
Oh, okay. I kind of figured everyone would be going. Yeah, we were like, we couldn't have been more wrong about the location that players were going, but I think it's a good fit for everyone, honestly. And Javi deserves it, and he's playing well in New York already. So
yeah, and one of the bigger trades one of the best returns they got was Pete Crow Armstrong from the New York Mets. He's a top quality prospect outfielder, and I think there's a chance he plays for the Cubs one day. And I'm happy with the way things went in terms of that for the Cubs. And it's weird seeing, out of all the guys, I think it's the most weird seeing Baez play for a different team and Rizzo, but we'll get to them in a minute.
As much as you don't want to talk about Rizzo yet?
No, we can talk about Rizzo now. So for those who don't know, he was traded to the New York Yankees in exchange for Kevin Alcantara and Alex Viciano. And I just think it's like really cool to see Anthony Rizzo playing for the New York Yankees. He's been so good since going there. All sorts of home runs. I think he's got an RBI in his first 6 games with the Yankees, and he's the first player in Yankee history to ever do that.
Yeah, he fits as a Yankee. As much as I dislike the Yankees, and I think you look like a clown in that hat, I'd much rather see you be wearing a Cubs hat. He kind of fits. He kind of looks good. Like, I'll be honest, it's just Anthony Rizzo playing in the Bronx.
Hey, Anthony Rizzo! Yeah. Welcome to New York!
He was actually wearing his Chicago. Was that him who was wearing his Chicago cleats and batting gloves?
Cleats and batting gloves. Yep.
And didn't he go like Yabo? Yeah, there he is wearing it and going yard. I just think it's sick. It's even more sick that he's gets to go to the Field of Dreams and play in that game after, going all year, not like, the White Sox are going to play in this awesome historic game at the Field of Dreams and the Cubs suck. And here I am on the Cubs. Now he gets to go and play in that game as a member of the New York Yankees. So that must be pretty cool for him. Hope he gets shit on, but yeah.
Yeah, he'll be the starting first baseman for the Yankees the rest of the season. I actually think they have a good chance at re-signing him. And Alcantara and Viceno is a good return for Rizzo. He is a 32-year-old aging first baseman with a back issue. All three of those things are like negative variables when it comes to giving a guy a big long-term contract. So I understand what the Cubs are doing. He did change his number. For those who don't know, I saw the comment in the chat. He did change his number. He's no longer 44. That was worn by Reggie Oxenfree, Reggie Jackson of the New York Yankees back in the day. And Anthony Rizzo changed to 48. So that's why 44 is no longer part of his jersey collection.
Cue Gus Bus in the bench warmers. That's Reggie Jackson.
I was explaining to Reggie Oxenfree here. Yeah, I love that movie too. Man, we need to go on a baseball movie run.
So we got Benchwarmers, Moneyball, and Field of Dreams on tap for this week.
Yes, very much looking forward to that. I don't think the Yankees were very smart with the way they handled the trade deadline. Trading for Joey Gallo and Anthony Rizzo. I think they just want all the Italians on their team. Maybe they'll trade for us.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of shitting on it when it first happened. They were 8.5 games back when they acquired Joey Gallo and Anthony Rizzo. Now they're only 6 games back.
Yeah, and the Red Sox suck.
The Red Sox have stunk lately.
They're getting killed 7-0 by Detroit.
I know.
On my TV as we speak.
And quick mention of last week, we kind of advertised our 999 challenge for the Red Sox. They were playing the Jays, right?
Did you jinx the Red Sox?
I think I did. I don't even remember what I said, but I think I did.
Yeah. I think you jinxed the Red Sox. Way to go. It's all your fault.
So, I mean, I don't know. I got to make it up to my Red Sox somehow. Maybe if it means going to guaranteed rate field in a Red Sox jersey, it means going to guaranteed rate field in a Red Sox jersey in September.
Yeah, I will keep you.
But that I'm a little worried. As much as I want to shit on the Yankees, they're making up ground here. They still have a lot of season left, and it's just going to be a big fuck you to me if they end up, making the playoffs. And because I was shitting on the acquisition of Rizzo and Gallo, that they're 8.5 games back, but that's why baseball's a long season. So
yep, they're going to shove it up your hoop. We'll actually talk about the entire AL East in a minute here, but I want to get to. You could address the Don Spacey's, and then we'll get back to the Cubs because there's one more big piece.
Oh, I did the 999 challenge, Don. It was probably the easiest thing that I've ever done in terms of an eating challenge. Like, I was not full. I haven't eaten. Yep, there's my Twitter. Be sure to follow me at Joey Parise on Twitter. I did Nathan's hot dogs, and my beer of choice was Miller Lite, the great taste, less filling. We're always looking for sponsors on this show. And it went down like water. It was so good. It hit the spot. Those hot dogs were cooked perfectly. Sometimes I put a little mustard on them and ketchup. Sometimes I went with ketchup. Go ahead, fight me. I don't care. I put ketchup on my hot dogs. And it was delicious. I had no issues. I finished the night. The Red Sox got shit on 12-0. So I ended up finishing the night with 11 beers and 10 hot dogs. So to make up for my, sadness of the game, 12-0 final in favor of the Blue Jays. But I mean, that's besides the point. I jinxed the Red Sox. Yankees are making up ground. So,
yep, we'll talk about the AL East in a second. Last but not least, the Chicago Cubs traded Chris Bryant to the San Francisco Giants in exchange for Alex Canario and Caleb Killian. That is the worst trade the Cubs made of the entire week, I would say.
That hat looks so good on you. And no, it was just me doing it, Don.
I had a show to do mid-game, remember?
Yeah, you did. You got to wear that Giants hat more. I'll be honest.
Looking good.
That black and orange, like you rock that. Of the three teams we just talked about, your three hat collection, I'm sure you might even have more that you're going to whip on. The Giants are definitely my favorite of those three, and I love this trade. He again is one of those guys who in their first game, went yard. So I love it. I hope the Giants are able to, make a deep run with Chris Bryant.
Yeah, I like it from the Giants' point of view. He was wanted to be a Giant, it sounds like. He told the media that he was a fan of the Giants growing up, and him and his wife wanted to end up there, and they ended up there. I just don't like the return they got for him. Like, I knew they weren't going to get much for any of these guys, but at least they got like a respectable return for Baez and Rizzo. Bryant, they got like their 9th and 30th prospect, and Bryant's arguably the best of those three players. So, I mean, we'll get into the trade that they actually did very well in a couple seconds. We already mentioned it with the other team. But, I mean, I'm not liking the return they got for Bryant here, and he loves the Giants. I think if he doesn't go to the Vegas A's, that he'll stick with San Francisco in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I think he's a good fit. And like we've talked about, for weeks now, he can pretty much play anywhere. So I think he's a fit on a lot of teams in terms of that, but he just looks good on the Giants, and he's kind of being productive. So that's what you want from these guys at the deadline.
Yeah, all three of them hit home runs in their first games with their new teams, and I believe all but Bryant have hit a second. I know Baez and Rizzo have hit a second. I'm not sure if Bryant has.
Yeah, I thought I misheard you. I was going to be like, didn't Baez just hit one yesterday? Yeah.
Yeah. So the big three are gone. The World Series 2016 team is officially dismantled, and it's never coming back. They kept Zach Davies. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping he'd get moved for my fantasy team purposes in hopes that, he lights a fire under him. But they decided to keep him, and I don't know the extent of his current deal. But I mean, at this point, like, what do you have to lose? The return probably wasn't that great on him, so they really didn't change much of their starting rotation. So I really don't fault them because they probably weren't able to get much of a return for him.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was going to get packaged with someone, maybe with Bryant, get an extra prospect out of it, throw a starting pitcher in there that could be bullpen depth or starting pitching depth for another team. But they opted to keep him. He's going to make some more starts for the Cubs, eat some innings the rest of the season. You need guys to eat innings at a respectable level to some degree. So that'll be Davies for them. I want to talk to you about something that came out after that stunned me a little bit and worried me. And it ended up not happening, so I'm all good in the hood.
What's that?
According to Jeff Passan and Ken Rosenthal, the Cubs were this close to acquiring Tyler Glasnow from the Tampa Bay Rays in exchange for Craig Kimbrell and Chris Bryant. If that would have happened, my life would have been over. My favorite pitcher that's not on the White Sox would have ended up on the Cubs. And I'd like to know what your thoughts would have been had that been the trade, because Tyler Glasnow, as first reported by my friend Robert Murray, did undergo Tommy John surgery, and he is out for the 2021 and 2022 season. He will be ready for spring training in 2023. And then after that, he will only have 1 year left on his contract, so it is a risky trade to make for whoever makes it. I do believe he will be moved away from the Rays at some point. What are your thoughts on that thing as a whole? Did the Cubs tweak by not wanting him? Should the White Sox, anyone seriously in contention, want to go for a guy like that? Should the Rays move on from him? I'd like to know your thoughts on Tyler Glasnow's situation as a whole, because it's part of this discussion in relation to the Cubs.
Yeah, I think it was probably best for the Cubs that this move didn't happen. For that reason being, I think they got more of a return for the long term by sending Craig to the White Sox and Bryant to the Giants, opposed to just sending them both to the Rays and only getting Glasnow, who might not pitch for another year and a half, 2 years. And you're getting a world-class pitcher in Tyler Glasnow, who's just coming off of probably the worst surgery for a pitcher to undergo, who has, contract. You don't know what that situation is going to be like. And the Cubs need more than just a world-class ace as a return. They need prospects. They need to draft and develop, like you've stressed so much with their pitching. So I think it's good for the Cubs that it didn't happen. And if I'm the Rays, like, you're without Glasnow already, and the Rays are, defending American League champions. So you kind of think that it would have been really good for the Tampa Bay Rays to get Craig Kimbrell and Chris Bryant going into the playoffs. So it's kind of shitty for them that they weren't able to get that deal done, but good for the Cubs.
I agree with you. I'm with you. I think there would have been a mistake. So for those who don't know, we already talked about it. The White Sox traded Nick Madrigal and Cody Hoyer to the Chicago Cubs in exchange for Craig Kimbrell, and I love that trade for both teams. I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. The Cubs did very well for Kimbrell. I said he'd get them a king's ransom. Nick Madrigal and Cody Hoyer, whether Cubs fans want to believe it or not, is a king's ransom. I have some analysis here for you. Nick Madrigal, he's never going to have too high of a slugging percentage. As a result, his OPS will never be in like superstar territory, but he can hit 320. I truly believe that. He will drive in runs to some degree if guys are on base, but he will be on base for the top of the order if the Cubs decide to actually use him as a 9-hitter one day. He believes he can hit 3,000 in the MLB. I could see it. I think hitting 9th would be tough. No 9-hitter in MLB history has ever hit 3,000. And I think that's just a result of getting less at-bats. But Cody Hoyer throws 100. He's got great command, and he's been awesome in his first couple games with the Cubs. He's been better with the Cubs than he was with the White Sox. He needs to work on his command. He needs to stop going down 0-2 in counts. He very rarely walks people. So the fact that his whip is so high, but he has so few amount of walks, that just tells me that he gets low in count, or he gets behind in counts quickly, and then is forced to pitch the ball down the middle, and then they crush it. So his whip will come down once his control comes down or gets better, because his stuff is nasty. Cody Hoyer is going to be a great pitcher. He could end up being the Cubs' long-term closer. I believe that.
Yeah, I agree. And I loved Nick Madrigal. I was really starting to like him. So I wish nothing but the best for him in the future with the Chicago Cubs. I'm sure we'll see a lot of him. But King Pookie asks about, the whole Trevor Story thing and what happened with that? Because it seemed like it was pretty sure that the White Sox were going to go in on Trevor Story. Whatever happened with that?
The Colorado Rockies might be the single dumbest team in Major League Baseball. They thought they were getting Vaughn and Kopech for Story.
Yeah.
Excuse me? You want who? First of all, Michael Kopech should be outside of maybe Lou, he should be the least tradable person in the White Sox organization right now. $300 million arm. Do not move him under any circumstances. And so the Rockies just thought they were going to get all this for Trevor Story. They ended up getting nothing. And it will be interesting to see what happens with that as the offseason progresses.
Yeah, I didn't know that that's what they were asking for. I would have told them, you guys are near last place. Like, we're trying to win right now. We're not going to give you guys that are going to help us win right now. For Trevor Story, who...
Yeah, Trevor Story's a good player.
He's a good player, but I don't think they need Trevor Story.
No, they need their current superstars to be better.
Exactly, and healthy.
Exactly, which is basically what I meant by that, because, I don't know, the Rockies, man. I can't believe that was the case. You're not getting Michael Kopech for Trevor Story. Michael Kopech might be the White Sox ace next season.
Yeah, so getting rid of Michael Kopech might harm them for the future the most, but getting rid of Vaughn now would fucking suck.
And the future.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying if you were to remove one of those two guys from the lineup right now, Vaughn would affect the team more.
I would agree with that.
But 3 years from now, if you're without Vaughn or Kopech, like, it would suck not having Kopech 3 years from now. That's what I believe.
I agree. I was dumbfounded when I read it, because Michael Kopech is so good, and Andrew Vaughn could literally be as good as Eloy at hitting. If we call Vaughn or Robert the 5-tool guy because he does everything so well, he can be just as good of a hitter as Eloy too. But like, that's Vaughn's thing. Like, he can hit. The boy can hit, and I'm excited that he's still there. They shouldn't trade them. Vaughn could be better than Story now, let alone in 3 years.
Yeah.
So, you got anything else left on the Cubs?
I think that, I mean, thank you for Craig. I haven't been this happy from a White Sox acquisition in a very long time.
I will say it was somewhat classy by the White Sox and the Cubs to get it done. Chris Bryant revealed to
2 separate trades
media.
they got done.
Yeah, but the Craig one in particular is a somewhat of a heartwarming story. Craig Kimbrell's child has a heart condition, and it's being attended to by Chicago doctors and hospitals, and taking care of this and trying to nip it in the butt. And he would have had to leave had he been shipped out of town, and they would have had to stay here. So getting that deal done where he was able to he wanted to either stay with the Cubs or go to the White Sox, and they made it happen. So credit to both organizations on that front.
Yeah. So before I kind of want to ask you a question, because I know you have way more, this is your line of expertise, I would say. Based off of everything that the Chicago Cubs have shipped off, looking at their return from all the teams, is that a good start to a successful rebuild, in your opinion?
No.
What else do they need?
They
got rid of some big guys that
I think they waited too long.
That the return wasn't as great as it could have been a year ago.
When the White Sox traded Sale, he had 3 more years left on his deal at a somewhat fair price, and he was a Hall of Fame level pitcher in his prime. They figured out a way to get the most out of a cost-controlled Jose Quintana. Somehow, some way, somehow, they got another major league executive to give them their top hitting prospect and their top pitching prospect for Quintana. The one that might be the most dumbfounding is the fact that they were able to get Lucas Giolito, Reynaldo Lopez, and Dane Dunning, who they turned into Lance Lynn, for Adam Eaton. And the Cubs just didn't make any trades that are quite on that level. And they didn't have, other than Craig Kimbrell, I think the return for Craig Kimbrell is great. Madrigal could be their second baseman for the next decade. Cody Hoyer could be their closer one day. So that trade was awesome. And so here's the thing. They took a lot of risks. Could it turn out to be great all around? Yes. They added 5 pitching prospects out of all the trades, not including Hoyer. You hit on add 20 guys to your organization that throw 100. If you hit on 2 or 3 of them, you win.
Yeah. So
Bailey Horn, Connor Pilkington, all those guys, or not Connor Pilkington, he went to Cleveland. Bailey Horn, Visayeno, Killian, those are all pitchers that the Cubs are going to try. Cody Hoyer even, and then they got a couple outfielders. Pete Crow Armstrong, really good. The Mets gave him up for Baez. They felt it was worth it to give him up in order to get him. I think the Mets value Baez a lot, clearly. So they went out and got him. But the Cubs got some decisions to make. They also have financial flexibility now that they might see that they have Madrigal and Horner in the middle of their infield. And they could easily say, let's try to win next year. Let's spend some money in free agency. We got Kyle Hendricks. Adbert Alzolay is a good pitcher. Zach Davies will probably be gone. They like this new kid that's been closing for them. He got his first career save last night. So it could be done. I just think they put themselves in a tough spot with the big 3.
Yeah. Very good. Very good analysis. I knew you would know way more about, all the players they got in return more than I would. So I was just curious on your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's not a bad start. It's just not the start that they were probably hoping for when these conversations about Bryant, Rizzo, and Baez started to come up pre-pandemic.
Yeah, and the pandemic didn't help. It was probably hard to move guys last year. And
the guy I think it hurt the most in terms of his wallet is Baez, because he had an offer on the table. Then it came in the pandemic, and then they stopped all talks. Bryant has Scott Boras as his agent, who plays hardball with everyone and tries to get the most for his clients. And most of his guys end up leaving in free agency anyway. I think of a guy like Bryce Harper. That's the guy that comes to mind first and foremost when it comes to a Scott Boras client. And Bryant's next. He's going to probably get a bag from a team that overpays for him. and it might be the Giants. So we'll see. I like the Rizzo trade. Kimbrel was awesome. You always knew that a top closer would get a king's ransom in terms of that type of trade. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Crosstown Classic.
Crosstown Classic. We already kind of previewed the White Sox tonight with Dallas Keuchel on the mound, finishing out that series with Kansas City, and then the Cubs are currently losing 2-0 to the Colorado Rockies. But then after that, we start a fun series tomorrow over in Wrigley Field. What's your plans here?
Well, Friday, we're going to see Lance Lynn face off against Kyle Hendricks. And that's the battle of the team's two best pitchers this season. Kyle Hendricks is beatable, but he's also very tough. He's 13-4 on a team that's 8 games under 500 for a reason. 5 games under 500. Sorry, not a math guy.
Are you a little surprised he didn't get moved?
No, he's a cost. I mean, if they would have moved him, it would have looked smart because he could be their Quintana. He's way better than Quintana. I'm not comparing their skills.
I feel like they would have got the most for him.
Yeah, I'm talking in terms of a return because, like I said, Quintana landed Jimenez and Robert. And if you learn anything about Major League Baseball teams, they don't learn their lessons ever. So another team would give up that level of prospect in exchange for Kyle Hendricks. I believe that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him going forward. It wouldn't shock me if they move him in the offseason. He's a cost-controlled pitcher that is very good.
Yeah, I mean, I think, with the way he's performing this year, I think it'd be silly not to move him if clearly they're going full-on rebuild. And you need to trade these guys when they're good. Other teams are going to look at his stats this year and his record and, how he's been doing on a year as a whole. And they're going to want that opposed to if they keep him next year and he starts off shitty and come deadline and he's ass. He's got a 8 ERA. This is what if, but you're not going to get as much of a return from coming off of a great year like right now.
Absolutely. So then there's tomorrow. Adbert Alzolay will go for not tomorrow. Saturday, Adbert Alzolay will face Carlos Rodon. I will be in attendance. So if anyone wants to come say hello to me, if you find me and you want to bring me a beer or a hot dog, you do that. And, we'll be rooting on the White Sox while they're there at Guaranteed Rate Field, taking them on. I'm getting news that Jimenez is DHing again tonight, so we'll see how that goes.
I hope he goes 4 for 4 so bad.
So do I. And then on Sunday, it'll be Dylan Cease facing his old team, the team that traded him away, against Zach Davies. So each team has their hands full on Friday. Lance Lynn and Kyle Hendricks will likely shove. So naturally, you can expect each team to just go off offensively because those types of things happen whenever two aces like that face off. But I'm very intrigued by Cease versus Davies because part of me thinks Dylan Cease is a quietly motivated guy. The Cubs let him go, and they really haven't been great at developing pitching before or after trading away Cease, so he would have been nice to have for them. And he's been very good lately. His ERA is finally under 4. And it's coming along nicely. He's really starting to look like that top pitching prospect. 11 strikeouts 2 nights ago. I mean, come on. His stuff is so gross.
Ever since we were at the game when – who were they playing? Were they playing Minnesota?
The Twins.
Minnesota.
He was mad at Donaldson, and he gave up that bomb to Donaldson in the first inning. And then basically since that point, he's been one of the best pitchers on the
I want to say ever since, we were with our cousin Frank, and we were talking about betting, and he took the under thanks to you on 7.5 strikeouts. And I think ever since then he's hit the over. I'm not even kidding. When I was listening to that game, his most recent game on the radio, I had it on. And when I was driving, and when he got his 10th strikeout, that's when it clicked. I thought to myself, I'm pretty sure he's hit the over every time he's taken the mound. And so that's just kind of funny. I'm hoping he hits it every single time now. But
sorry, Frank.
Yeah, sorry, Frank. Hopefully he listens to me and not you. But you called Lance Lynn their ace. Our friend Laura wants to know if the playoffs started today, who would your top 3 be right now for the Chicago White Sox?
I think I would have to go Lynn, Rodon, Giolito.
That was going to be my 3. I was going to
Cease,
say
Cease is deserving. He'll be I go 4 in the playoffs. Most teams go 4 in the playoffs. So those would be the 4. Dallas Keuchel would be on a short leash in the bullpen. And then you got Michael Kopech waiting in the wings. People often forget that. He's coming. He's coming. So that's where I would roll.
Yeah, and if you add Keuchel to the bullpen, which I believe he came out of the bullpen once or twice this year for the first time, and
He did once, and it was the rain
yeah,
when Lance Lynn got cut off.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess it technically was like as if he was starting. Anyway. Yeah. I don't know. I like Keuchel, but I agree he is the odd man out in this situation. But I agree with those top 3. I was going to say that, so I was kind of hoping you'd disagree. But it's literally the lineup for this Cubs series, aside from it being Giolito in place of Cease.
Yeah, but Cease could prove us wrong. He could end up.
I don't know if it's necessarily Cease proving us wrong. I think it might be Giolito proving us wrong. If Giolito continues to have a string of games like last night, then you got to give it to Cease.
Yeah.
But I think that 3rd spot is still a toss-up in the air. It's going to, these last couple of months are going to be huge for that decision. But I would say I'm pretty comfortable with Lance Lynn and Rodon being 1 and 2.
I'm not worried about Giolito. Like, not even a little bit.
I'm not either, but
his best pitch is the one that they're smashing, and it's correctable for me. He's got to adjust, because before guys didn't know what he's like. A elite hitter would face Giolito and go, they'd swing and miss at the slider or at the changeup and go, wow, I've never seen a guy throw this many changeups. He leads Major League Baseball in changeups thrown since 2019. And now guys are starting to expect it. He's got to adjust back. And he's got the talent to adjust back. And he's shown that he can make adjustments to better himself. We've all seen the Wintrust commercial. 2018, worst pitcher in baseball. Now, this dude's an all-star. We've all seen that commercial 1,000 times. Giolito has the ability to make adjustments, and I think he will. He is talented enough.
As you said, Eloy Jimenez is DHing tonight. Do you expect that to continue into this Cubs series at Wrigley Field?
That is impossible, since it is a National League park.
See, I always forget that. Even when I was asked last week, you're always on your toes. That's why we have you.
Yep, he will not be DHing because there is no DH.
So I get to see Lance Lynn bat?
Yeah, and part of me thinks we talked about this on South Burbs Hitman.
I don't think I've seen Lance Lynn ever bat.
He hit earlier this season. You were at hockey.
Yeah, I definitely have never seen him bat. I'm really fucking excited, and I'm a little mad I'm not going.
Yeah, he'll hit. And Rodon, Cease, and Lynn have been the only White Sox hitters that didn't look like complete duds in the batter's box this season.
I mean, Lance Lynn looks like he can put one out. Let's be real.
Lance Lynn probably could put one out. But I believe that the reason they reset the rotation was to line it up where they can have some bats at Wrigley. I do. It's the only thing that makes logical sense, and hoping Rodon, his tired arm is, feeling good and ready to go.
That makes sense, because I think I have seen Giolito bat once, and
awful,
not pretty,
awful.
It's one of those.
Chris Sale Jr.
Yeah, it's one of those. I've seen Chris Sale bat. It's one of those pitchers batting where you're like, why is this a thing? You're just watching it. Wouldn't it be more fun if you have a guy in there who actually cared to make contact with the ball?
Yeah, I hate the National League rule. I hate it. Can't stand it.
I think it's on its way out more likely than it's not.
Thank goodness. Now, that leads to an interesting discussion that I heard. I've been listening. David Ortiz just released a podcast with one of my idols, Jared Carrabis. And it's called Call Him Poppy. Yes, it is a direct ripoff of Call Her Daddy, which is, a great podcast as well. But Call Him Poppy is David Ortiz and Jared interviewing other celebrities. So, but the first episode was just Jared and David. Jared interviewing David. And there's going to be sweet guests on there, some confirmed guests: A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, Rob Gronkowski, and Fernando Tatis Jr. are the 3 confirmed ones. And there are whispers that one Tom Brady is going to be a guest on it, which would just really melt my soul. But Jared asked him about the whole DH thing because David Ortiz was a designated hitter in his prime. And he goes, not everybody can be DH. It take mindset. You know how he talks. And it's interesting to me. Jared asked him about if the DH rule, if it becomes a universal rule, do you only make it for pitchers? Now that we have a guy like Shohei Ohtani in the league, can you DH for your slap hitting second baseman that stinks in a game that Ohtani's pitching if you want? If you want to see Lance Lynn hit, can you DH for Billy Hamilton? You know, like just strategic things like that. And I would like to know your thoughts on that because David Ortiz didn't really hate the idea. And anything Big Papi says, I want to listen to.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy. I kind of getting an idea of what Papi said based off of what you just said. And I'm happy that I think I agree with Papi and that let teams DH for whoever the fuck they want. If my right fielder is an ass hitter, but he's one of the best right fielders in the league, and my pitcher can make contact with the ball, let me DH for that guy. Like the designated hitter should just be able to designate hit for anyone. It doesn't have to be the pitcher. So I think that would be stupid if they made a rule only for the pitcher. It's almost like that's a rule targeting the Angels. Like, fuck you, you can't do this.
It is only a rule for right now. You can only DH for the pitcher, I believe, right now.
That is the current rule?
I believe so in the National League, unless
but they're able to get around it when he pitches by forfeiting the DH rule.
That's in the American League. I'm talking specifically the National League.
Yeah, I guess, because then you wouldn't be forfeiting the DH rule because your pitcher would still be batting.
No matter what.
Yeah. No, you should be able to DH. So is it currently a rule like where if the White Sox wanted Lance Lynn to bat, but they wanted Billy Hamilton DH?
Yeah, I don't think that's allowed. I would have to really look into that rule, but
I feel like that would be allowed. It's just what team is going to.
No, because there are some National League pitchers that would be hitting way more often if that were allowed. There's no way. Like all those years that the Cubs had Arrieta, who's a pretty good hitter, but
you think they would have DH'd for a fielder?
Jason Hayward or something? Yeah.
You think the games that Arrieta pitched in an American League ballpark, he would have DH'd?
From time. Oh, in an American League? I don't know. I'm talking if they were in the National League and they were allowed to use a DH for someone else.
Yeah, but you
definitely interesting conversation.
No, but it would be the same thing. You can see if they would have done it if you just look at when Arrieta pitched in an American League park. Did they do it?
Yeah, I'm gonna say no, they didn't.
No, they probably just DH'd for Arrieta.
Yeah, which I think they might not have had it not been a rule.
But they could always forfeit the DH rule.
I guess, but then you're doing it late in the game too. When your reliever comes in, when you got Carl Edwards Jr.'s horrible hitting ass coming up to hit, like you wouldn't want that.
We'd have to look at the MLB rule book. We'd have to look at the MLB rule book of the designated hitter rule, and if it says in there that it must be for the pitcher. But that's a question.
All fans should tune in to next Thursday's show because we will get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. Right off the bat, my opinion is you should be able to designated hit for any player on the field. That shouldn't have to be the pitcher. If you want your pitcher to bat, go for it.
Interesting. I'm going to have to get you in touch with Big Papi.
I'll call him. Yeah, I got it. I'll call my buddy Mookie. I'm sure he has his number.
Mookie.
I mean, if you get on this show that you're talking about, which seems very interesting, I might have to tune in. It's all my athletes, all my guys. You got Papi, you got Gronk. If you get Tom, I mean, there's my Boston guys.
And Fernando Tatis Jr. is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is a show you need to watch. I'm not gonna sit here like you watch my show. I appreciate you, but I'm gonna as a pay it forward type deal. If you're kind enough to watch my show, I'm gonna recommend other great shows to you. And one of them is Call Him Papi. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. It's David Ortiz and Jared Carabas, and the first episode was magnificent. I still have a little bit left to finish. I ran out of time last night, but it is sweet so far. It's fun.
So for those of you that don't know, all of our amazing guests we've ever had, most of them come from Vinny. Vinny reaches out. He's a phenomenal at getting guests. It must be the blue check mark or something. I don't have it. he's great at getting guests. If I were able to get Big Papi on our show, would that make up for everything that I suck at getting guests?
Yeah.
I'd be like the king of getting guests if I was able to get Big Papi.
You would never have to get a guest ever again.
All right, I'm gonna make a couple phone calls.
I would say that's a white whale. Like we talked about that when we interviewed Mike Haranica from The Devil Wears Prada on our hockey show yesterday. Make sure you tune in to Bar Down Blackhawk Talk every Wednesday, 2 p.m. That was like a white whale interview in terms of musical artists for me. Big Papi would be up there for baseball. He'd be in the top 10.
All right. Well, I know you're watching now, David. Come on the show. Reach out to me.
Yeah. So the Crosstown Classic, that's going to be a lot of fun. Come find me at Wrigley Field on Saturday. We never know about tomorrow or Sunday. Maybe I'll make an appearance. But I will for sure. I already have locked in tickets to Saturday. We will be all sorts of ready to go. Before we head out, I want to talk about a couple things that happened around the MLB. Last Thursday on the show, we reported live, and I take no blame for this whatsoever because it was tweeted by Murray, Passan, all of them, that this was happening. And I'm talking about Max Scherzer being traded to the San Diego Padres. He blocked a trade to the Daddies and said, I only want to go to the Dodgers. So the Dodgers put together this premier package that not only landed Max Scherzer, they landed Trey Turner, who is arguably now their new best player, at least in 2021, based on the seasons they've had. Because Bellinger's struggling. Pre-injury, Mookie Betts was struggling. Their best player pre-Turner was probably the other Turner, Justin Turner. So I like this move for the Dodgers, man. Your analysis, and then I'll give a little bit of a rant on something I want to let the fans know about the Dodgers.
I have a feeling I know what your little rant is about, but
I don't think so.
Maybe. I don't know. I'll bring up what I thought you were going to say after. But, I mean, it's not like the Dodgers are, a dominating baseball team. They're one of the best in the MLB, in my opinion, probably the best. But, I mean, they're still, three and a half games back of the Giants. The Padres are 7.5 games back of the Giants. They're only 6-4 in their last 10. So, yeah, Mookie Betts came back. He came back hot, but I mean, on paper, the Dodgers now might be the far and away best team, in my opinion. The White Sox make a claim, the Astros make a claim. There's a lot of great teams in the MLB, but I mean, this is awesome for the Dodgers, especially if we talk about that division, the three-headed beast of that division. The Dodgers are my team in that division, so I love it. I love everything about it.
What do you think my rant was going to be about?
That if there was a salary cap in baseball, they'd be fucked?
No.
Oh.
They would.
They would.
But the Dodgers have everything they deserve. I'm not mad at the Dodgers at all. Yes, okay. They have a $250 million payroll. It's great. I was a little upset at first, like, how do they do this? But then I started taking a deep dive. Almost every player on their roster that makes an impact is homegrown. Yes, they make a lot of money. Why? Because they earned it. Then a guy like Mookie Betts became available. All 29 other teams could have traded for Mookie Betts. Whoever offered Boston what they deemed the best package, Boston would have taken. They didn't just want to help out the Dodgers. They didn't think to themselves, Chaim Bloom, the GM of the Red Sox, wasn't like, oh, I want to help the Dodgers. If anything, he probably doesn't like the Dodgers because he came from the Rays. So, they had the assets to get Mookie Betts. Well, most teams after trading for Mookie Betts would have a rather dry cupboard for a year or two. Not the Dodgers. The Dodgers had what it takes to put together a premier package for Trey Turner and Max Scherzer. And that's not even the last time. Well, you might remember 2 or 3 years ago when they traded for Manny Machado. They gave the Baltimore Orioles some really nice prospects in order to land Machado. This was before he ended up on the free agent market with the Padres. The Dodgers have everything they deserve. They develop prospects, they develop MLB talent, and they do one of two things. They either put it on their MLB field, like Taylor, like Turner, like Bellinger, like Kershaw, like Buehler, or they take it and they move it for other needs. Mookie Betts, Max Scherzer, Trey Turner. That is an organization that every team, I'm looking at this one specifically, is trying to aspire to be. You have your MLB talent, you have your prospects. The White Sox, they pretty much all their prospects hit. It's actually crazy how many of their prospects actually hit. Because if you would have told me 5 years ago that Madrigal, Vaughn, Kopech, Moncada, Anderson, Eloy, who am I missing? Any prospects that I'm missing? Gavin Sheets, Jake Berger, Lucas Giolito, Dylan Cease. You're telling me that all these guys are going to make an impact on the MLB roster one day? I would have told you you're crazy. At least 2 or 3 of them are going to be busts. None of them have been. But now what the White Sox need to do, like you look at the records and they have a comparable MLB record to the Dodgers. But what is making the Dodgers have that type of record year in and year out? Unlike the White Sox, unlike the Red Sox, unlike the Cubs, they keep infiltrating prospects. They draft, they develop, they're good in the free agent, international free agent signing period. The White Sox are trying to become that. They're being successful so far. Yoelqui Cespedes, Oscar Coles is about to sign with the White Sox this upcoming December in international free agency. They hit on Abreu. They hit on Robert. They traded for Jimenez and Moncada, but those were international free agent signings by Boston and the Cubs, respectively. That's what the Dodgers do. And they should be taking no crap. You can hate them. You can root against them on the MLB level, but everything they have is well-deserved.
Yeah, I think that was very well said. I will play a little bit of devil's advocate here. And yes, they're homegrown, developed, and all that. And then they acquire guys like Mookie Betts and now Trey Turner. And
using homegrown prospects.
Yes, but not every team, the players deserve the money that they got. Their homegrown players deserve their big paychecks. But not every team can do all that, sign their homegrown players, and then still have the money to be able to go and acquire other big contracts. So you kind of have to.
You're right about that. The Rays and the A's can't be, but the Yankees, Cubs, White Sox, Red Sox, Phillies, they could.
Yeah, they could.
They don't.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. They don't.
Well, there are 2 models. There's the Billy Bean. It helped the Red Sox win a World Series in 2004. Now they've become a little bit more financially able team. But prior to that, they went the Billy Bean route. They signed David Ortiz after Minnesota cut him. Why? Because Theo Epstein thought he could get on base. Like Moneyball, every baseball fan needs to see Moneyball. If you haven't seen Moneyball and you like baseball enough to like come here every Thursday, you need to see Moneyball. It will help your understanding of major league construction more than anything I could say to you. And, it worked for the Red Sox. It's working for the A's. They're a very good team. It's working for the Rays. They're a very good team. So there are 2 ways to go about it. But what I'm not saying that like teams like the Rays and A's have to go do the Dodger model in order to win.
They can't. It's impossible.
They can't. I'm saying that nobody can clown the Dodgers for using their resources and their ability to draft and develop against them.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I mean, it does make it easier when you are a much more financial, we've seen the Yankees do the same thing, a little less at homegrown develop, but over the past decade or 2 decades or so, like they were the rich team and they were able to sign any player, trade for any.
And it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't always work. You need a mix of
Yankees have 1 title.
You need
in the last 25 years.
No, but they're always the team that is acquiring the big contract, and it's fine. It doesn't work. You need to have a mix of both.
Yes, the Yankees haven't done the greatest job of like drafting and developing over the years. Aaron Judge, DJ LeMahieu was a trade. Giancarlo Stanton was a trade.
Mike Stanton. I was just going to say Mike Stanton.
Mike. They developed Gary Sanchez, but he's kind of fallen off. They signed Garrett Cole for $1 billion. Brian Cashman's not allowed to go over the luxury tax anymore. Steinbrenner put an end to that because it doesn't work unless it's your homegrown talent like the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are doing it right. And I'm not saying the Rays aren't, because the Rays can absolutely win the World Series. Here's the difference between the Dodgers and the Rays. The Dodgers would have kept Snell. The Dodgers would have kept Glasnow. I don't think the Rays are going to keep Glasnow for very long. Like, once those guys move on, they can't really stay with the Rays because the Rays don't pay them. So that's where your argument comes in.
Mm-hmm.
But the Rays basically are the Dodgers. The Rays basically are the Dodgers without the money for the guys who prove themselves. So they need to keep the bottom from falling out by continuing their development process.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. Would you, just a quick yes or no, would you like to see a salary cap implemented in the MLB?
I have no idea.
It would fuck up a lot of things.
It would help the Chicago White Sox.
It would help it would probably help half the league, and it would really hurt half the league.
The Yankees and the Dodgers would never allow it to happen. I don't even think I honestly think Jerry would be against it for the White Sox.
Even if the salary cap was like $200 million?
It depends. Then you need a floor. Then can a team like the A's even afford to be in the league? They could barely now. If you have a floor,
there'd be a lot of money coming to the lesser teams when they really don't.
Yeah, if you're owning a professional sports franchise and there's a floor, you have to know as that owner that you're committing to that floor year in and year out.
Yeah, you have
the National Hockey League, I believe the NHL floor is 40 mil, the cap, or 60 mil, 60 mil.
Like 50 something.
It's something along those lines. So every single owner in the NHL knows that he's investing at minimum $50 million in his roster.
Santiago says yes, but World Series teams should be allowed to spend more to keep their stars. That's like the exact opposite of how salary cap works, isn't it?
I agree with Santiago wholeheartedly. I think this should be implemented in every sport. If you put a cap in, that will allow parity across the league, right? Every team will be able to spend. But if it's your homegrown talent, you should get a discount against the cap.
Okay, homegrown talent. That makes sense.
That's what I think.
I think what he means is if you win the World Series, then you should as World Series champs, you should be able to.
Oh, that would defeat the purpose because teams like
the purpose of the salary cap is like, okay, you build this awesome roster, they make a lot of money, you hopefully win, but now they're going to probably want even more money, so you might have to dismantle this team and start all over. It's a rebuilding process with a salary cap.
I think of hockey, right? The Avalanche are about to get into big trouble because they're going to have to pay Nathan McKinnon, right? He's going to want 12 mil. If that 12 mil, only half of it hit the cap because it's a homegrown talent, that's fine. Where teams would then get themselves into trouble, I think of the Toronto Maple Leafs for giving John Tavares, who was an Islanders player, 11 mil. That entire 11 mil would hit the cap in that scenario, but someone like Austin Matthews or Mitchell Marner would only be half. That's I would like to see that implemented in all of sports. So someone like LeBron James, who goes from Cleveland to Miami, back to Cleveland to LA, LA would be playing LeBron at full salary against their cap, right? Same thing in hockey. Like the New Jersey Devils just paid Dougie Hamilton. The Bruins would be in great shape.
I was going to say the Bruins would be like loaded. They would be
the only player on the Bruins that makes a serious impact that would be like the full cap penalty would be Taylor Hall. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That's kind of my favorite thing. I think it'd be cool in baseball too. I really do.
But the thing with that is, let's say there was a salary cap in baseball and the Dodgers were able to, get some leeway on some of these big contracts against their cap because they're homegrown. Now, where's that money going to come from though? If they're 100 mil over the cap, but they're allowed to be because those players are homegrown, now you're tapping into owners' taxes and stuff. And so it creates a new issue, I think.
Yeah, it would have to be collectively bargained how the whole thing works, because also what about trades? Would Lucas Giolito, who is technically not homegrown Chicago White Sox talent, even though he never played a single game for the Nationals, how does that fit in? Eloy Jimenez, not technically. I mean, the White Sox had a hand in developing him. He played a whole season for the Charlotte Knights, but prior to that, he played for the Cubs organizations. He played in the Futures game. Do you remember that All-Star game where Chris Bryant hit a home run off of Chris Sale in the first inning?
Yeah, I do actually.
That same weekend, Eloy Jimenez played in the Futures game and hit a home run with a Cubs logo on his shoulder.
Yeah, so there
Like,
would have to be a defining definition of
they
what
would have to all be collectively bargained. There's so
is
much
it
that goes
MLB
into it.
debut? Or-
Exactly. And there's a collective bargaining agreement coming up. Like, baseball might not start on time next season. You might have another 100-game season, 60-gamer.
I don't think
hope not.
I don't think in the shadow of the pandemic, owners won't let that happen. But
the players might.
Yeah, you never know.
So, last thing I wanted to get to, we touched on it earlier already, the American League East Division. The Red Sox did trade for Kyle Schwarber. They have to wait 2 weeks for him to get back. He might play some first base for them, DH. They have Jumbo Dong, JD Martinez. There's a lot to do with the Red Sox. They just got killed by Detroit. The game literally just ended. I got the thanks for watching on one of my TVs. I don't know, man. I'm worried about the Red Sox. I'm way more worried about the Red Sox than the White Sox, who are an absolute wagon.
Yeah, I agree. I'm obviously more worried about the Red Sox than the White Sox, but I was looking to see when they play the Yankees next. Hopefully, Anthony Rizzo can leave a candy bar for Schwarber on a new field now or something. But that'd be fun. It'll be cool to see them play against each other again. Now with probably one of the biggest rivalries in sports, Red Sox Yankees. But yeah, I mean the Rays have been scary all year long, but now the Red Sox are kind of starting to fall off a little bit. It seems.
Still have they though?
What's up?
And they're 5-5 in their last 10. The Rays.
No, I know, and it's
not like things are going swimmingly for them either. They play. I believe they're off today. I'm looking now. They are off today.
And it's the Yankees who have been able to put a few wins together that is really scaring me the most because, they just got off a series with Baltimore, and then they swept the Marlins. But, I mean, even still, there's a lot of time to make up ground. So I'm hoping, Chris Sale should be back soon. I'm looking forward to that a lot.
Chris Sale's going to be back very soon.
Very soon.
The Blue Jays are very good too.
There's a chance that Chris Sale pitches at Guaranteed Rate Field later in September.
Yes, 100%. I would say it's a lock.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're not excited for that, whether you hate the guy or not, I know there's
I'll be there.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of White Sox fans who hate Chris Sale. I love the guy.
There's no reason to hate Chris Sale. He was traded.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of people
didn't demand to be traded. He didn't want it.
There are a lot of White Sox fans who were happy that he was traded. They didn't like him in his cut up the jersey or whatever. They left a lot of sour taste in people's mouths.
Those people are stupid.
But Chris Sale's awesome.
Chris Sale's the most talented pitcher who ever played for the White Sox.
And I'm going to go ahead and say he's forgotten about. He's going to come. I think he's going to come back from this Tommy John. He looks great in what I've seen.
Oh, I watched him pitch for the Woo Sox.
Yeah, I'm excited. So I'm not fully in panic mode for my Boston Red Sox, but I mean they gotta put a good series here coming up against Seattle.
Yep, I want to give a shout out to Anthony Suchala in the chat. Go White Sox.
Not Seattle, it's the Yankees, but yeah.
Definitely good times coming in the baseball world. The top 4 teams in the AL East are fun to watch. We talk about the NL West pretty much I think that's our favorite NL division. Is that fair to say?
Oh, by far.
Yeah, because we don't, we're not Cubs fans. We cover the Cubs, covering the Cubs, but we're not Cubs.
If you've seen one of our Cubs and can't tell that that's our favorite NL division, and at least for me, my favorite AL division is the AL East, only because I pretty much hate every team in the AL Central except the White Sox.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat too. If I had to pick a favorite division from top to bottom in the AL, it'd be the East.
We like the Rays.
I do like the Rays.
We love the Red Sox. You don't hate the Yankees as much as I do, but we like the Jays.
Mm-hmm.
That I think it's not even close.
Do I have a hat of every team in the AL Central, AL East? I do have a Yankees. I do have a Red Sox. I have 2 Red Sox.
You have a Jays hat?
I don't have a Jays hat.
I have a Jays hat.
I have an O's hat. I have a cool O's hat.
I have the bird on it. I have the cool Jays hat with the bird on it. The J with the blue Jay.
Yeah, I like their new logo now with the maple leaf on it.
Yeah, I don't like the red.
You don't like Toronto?
I don't.
Crazy. Well, great show. Great show. Baseball, Crosstown Classic. Go watch those games, man.
It's cool. We have two like big things to talk about. We got the Crosstown Classic this show, and then a week from now we'll be getting ready for that Field of Dreams game, Yankees, White Sox. I'm fucking stoked.
Absolutely. Back-to-back weekends of I will probably be in the ballpark next Saturday and Sunday. Sunday I already have tickets. Shout out to my good friend Joe Mandel. He's bringing me to the game. We're going to see the White Sox take on the Yankees on Sunday of next week. And then me and you and our good pals Jake and Dylan. I'll give a shout out to them. I believe we're going to be seeing next Saturday with them when they give away replicas of that jersey.
Yeah, that's
still probably going to buy one because I
want a real one, but those replica jerseys, it might have a Miller Lite logo or a Comcast Sports Center, Coca-Cola. It'll have like some kind of advertisement on it, but I love it. I think that makes it 10 times cooler. I want that replica jersey so bad. I want it almost. It's too far. I want it just as bad as I wanted that basketball White Sox jersey we got a month ago or something. But that's going to be like my party replica jersey. And then I do want a real jersey. I'm still deciding on a player. So there it is. They gave that away when we saw them play. Who were they playing? I can't even remember who I've seen play. They were playing someone.
Who were they playing?
The Rays, right?
Glasnow.
That was the day after Glasnow.
No.
That was the Saturday game where it got rained out.
Games in a row. You're right.
I'm right. Come on now. I can't decide on what player to get though for the actual.
And it was the Mariners.
It was.
Yeah. I got a better memory than you.
Whatever. Tweet at me at Joey Parise what player jersey I should get for the Field of Dreams jerseys.
That's a great question. I'm thinking Lance because I want Jimenez. I kind of want a Jimenez Sunday home.
Is it weird?
Ooh.
Here's what I'll say. I'll end this show with jitters in your stomach. There are people, okay, who have no problem having a Bobby Jenks jersey from 2005. I think I look at this guy like that. He's I'm telling you, he's the guy that is going to be a difference maker.
Bobby Jenks, number 45. Craig Kimbrell, number 46. For Joey Parise, I'm Vinny. Have a great day. Go White Sox.